Got a question.
Yeah.
Do you fake your videos?
No. Do you fake your videos?
The question is, how is the market for your original work affected? And his response was, it affects it negatively.
Well, with disrespect, I literally walked out of my hotel room and nearly had a heart attack.
Why did you walk up to us, like, enter our space?
The Brent Rivera paradox. When success rewards the system, not the soul. Let me present you with a paradox that should make every content creator deeply uncomfortable. Brent Rivera, a YouTuber publicly accused of systematic plagiarism, copyright abuse, and exploiting smaller creators. And yet, right now, at this very moment, he boasts 40.7 million subscribers. His channel gained 22.5 million views in just the past 7 days. His estimated monthly earnings? Somewhere between $195,000 and $586,000. He is ranked 162nd globally among all YouTube creators. These aren't the numbers of someone cancelled. These are the numbers of someone winning. Now, before we go any further, let's establish what actually happened here. In February 2023, YouTuber Tyler Oliveira published a video exposing Brent's pattern of stealing content from smaller creators. The accusations were damning: copied thumbnails, replicated video concepts, plagiarized scripts down to the exact sequence of events. When Tyler's video started gaining traction, Brent didn't apologize. He didn't reflect. Instead, he weaponized YouTube's copyright system to strike down the criticism, silencing Tyler and another creator named Dumpy, who had also called him out. The backlash was swift. Penguin Zero, Charlie, one of YouTube's most respected voices with over 15 million subscribers, didn't just criticize Brent, he demolished him. One user tweeted, "Why do girls like freak out over Brent Rivera? He isn't funny. Stealing all your vines from Tumblr doesn't make someone funny." Another person wrote, "Brent Rivera ain't creative at all. Anyone can steal Tumblr quotes and say them in 6 seconds." The evidence was overwhelming. The outrage was genuine. The call for accountability was loud. And yet, here we are. Brent Rivera's empire hasn't crumbled. If anything, his metrics suggest a creator at the peak of his powers, completely insulated from the consequences that would destroy most channels. So here's what this is really about. This isn't a story about one morally flexible YouTuber. This is a story about a system, a digital ecosystem where views matter more than values, where quantity trumps quality, and where success is measured in dollars, not dignity. The Brent Rivera paradox forces us to confront an uncomfortable question. If doing wrong still leads to success, what incentive exists to do right? Let's dig into this. To understand the paradox, we need to understand the pattern. Because Brent Rivera's success wasn't built on innovation or authenticity, it was constructed through systematic appropriation. And this has been going on for a very long time. Brent's career began on Vine in the early 2010s, where his short comedy sketches earned him over 8 million followers. But even back then, cracks appeared in his creative foundation. As early as 2014, users on Twitter began alleging that Brent was lifting jokes wholesale from Tumblr and other social media platforms. The criticism became so prevalent that Urban Dictionary created an entry for the term Brent Rivera. The definition, quote, "When you steal a joke from Tumblr or Twitter and use it as your own," end quote. The very act of plagiarism became synonymous with his name. Think about that for a second. When Vine shut down in 2017, Brent migrated to YouTube with 3 million subscribers and continued his content strategy of, let's call it what it is, strategic borrowing. But as he shifted from short sketches to longer challenge videos, his plagiarism became more elaborate and undeniable. One of the earliest documented cases was his 2012 video titled "Things That Make Me Mad," which directly copied Wasabi Productions' video of the identical title. The comparison is striking, not just similar concepts, but shot-for-shot recreations. Wasabi Productions shows frustration about needing to pee after getting comfortable in bed. Brent Rivera? Nearly identical setup, timing, and punchline. As his channel grew, so did the boldness of his theft. His video, "The World's Shortest Woman versus Tallest Man," was a virtual replica of Kelly Wakasa's content. Not only was the thumbnail eerily similar, but the entire script followed Kelly's structure beat for beat. First, meeting the person and giving them oversized merchandise. Then, asking spicy questions, including the identical question, "Who's your celebrity crush?" Next, taking them shopping, and finally, visiting an amusement park together. The timeline was identical. The jokes were identical. Only the face in front of the camera was different. Even Brent's short-form content was lifted from smaller creators. There was this viral short about pretending to be a food critic at a fancy restaurant, complete with notebook, photographs, and observations about receiving preferential treatment. It was directly copied from another creator, down to the narrative arc and specific details about getting the manager's business card and a comped meal. But here's where things escalated from unethical to actively harmful. In early 2023, when Tyler Oliveira's expose video began gaining millions of views, Brent didn't engage with the criticism. He eliminated it. Brent filed copyright strikes against both Tyler and Dumpy, claiming they had used his content without permission. Despite the fact that their videos constituted clear fair use as criticism and commentary, Tyler's video was removed, his channel threatened with termination. Dumpy faced the same fate. This wasn't just plagiarism anymore. This was weaponizing the very copyright system Brent himself had violated, using legal threats to silence legitimate criticism. The irony was suffocating. A creator who built his empire on stealing others' work was now claiming copyright protection for that stolen work. When Penguin Zero intervened, his criticism was scathing and precise. You should have just moved on from it, apologized for it, and been done with it. You're just doing all of the wrong things here. You messed up. The court of public opinion rendered its verdict. Guilty on all counts. Thousands of comments condemned Brent. His latest video at the time received over 80,000 dislikes. Major YouTube commentary channels covered the story. The consensus was clear. Brent Rivera's career should be over. But here's where the paradox crystallizes into something truly fascinating. None of it mattered. So how does a creator survive and thrive after such comprehensive exposure? The answer reveals more about YouTube's ecosystem than about Brent himself. And there are 4 main reasons why Brent is still standing. The first reason is what I call the audience segmentation shield. Brent Rivera's primary audience consists of children aged 8 to 14. This demographic creates a virtually impenetrable shield against accountability for one simple reason. They exist in a completely different information ecosystem than the critics. Think about it. The drama, the exposés, the thoughtful commentary from Penguin Zero, all of it takes place in a sphere that Brent's core audience never enters. These children aren't watching 40-minute video essays about content ethics. They're not reading Twitter threads about plagiarism. They're not browsing Reddit discussions about fair use doctrine. They're watching a handsome, energetic young man do silly challenges and pranks. That's the beginning and end of their engagement. This segmentation is brutally effective. While YouTube's creator community was in uproar, Brent's actual viewers remained blissfully unaware. His comment sections on newer videos show zero evidence that his audience knows about or cares about the controversy. The criticism happened in a parallel universe that never intersects with his revenue stream. Consider the numbers: 40.7 million subscribers. Even if every single person in the YouTube commentary community, let's generously estimate 5 million engaged viewers, boycotted Brent, he'd retain 88% of his audience. The cancel culture that works within tight-knit creator communities dissolves into meaninglessness when the target's audience exists outside that community. This reveals a fundamental truth about online accountability. Controversy only works when the audience cares about the controversy. Brent's audience doesn't just not care, they don't even know. The second reason Brent continues to thrive: the algorithm doesn't have a conscience. YouTube's recommendation algorithm is perhaps the most powerful content distribution system ever created. It's also completely immoral. The algorithm optimizes for engagement metrics, watch time, click-through rate, average view duration, likes, comments, and shares. It does not, cannot optimize for originality, creativity, or ethical behavior. It doesn't care if content is plagiarized. It doesn't care if the creator is controversial. It only cares if people watch. And people watch Brent Rivera. His videos are engineered for algorithmic success. The thumbnails are bright, expressive, and clearly convey the video's premise. The titles promise simple, entertaining concepts. The pacing is fast. The content is accessible to a wide age range. The videos hit the sweet spot of 20 to 30 minutes, long enough to accumulate substantial watch time, short enough to maintain attention. From the algorithm's perspective, Brent Rivera is a model creator. His videos keep viewers on the platform. They generate ad revenue. They satisfy user intent. The fact that the concepts are stolen is invisible to the recommendation system. This creates a perverse incentive structure. Original creators who spend weeks developing unique concepts might get modest views. Brent can copy that concept, execute it with higher production values and established audience momentum, and capture 10 times the viewership. The algorithm rewards him for plagiarism because plagiarism, done competently, is effective. Look at his recent performance: 22.5 million views in 7 days. Even with a 20.27% decrease from the previous week, he's still accumulating views at a rate that would make 99% of creators envious. The algorithm isn't punishing him. It's feeding him to millions of new potential viewers. The third reason? The platform's complicity through inaction. YouTube's official policies prohibit plagiarism and copyright abuse. In practice, enforcement is reactive, inconsistent, and easily exploited by bad actors. The platform's copyright strike system, ostensibly designed to protect creators, becomes a weapon in the hands of those willing to abuse it. Brent's strikes against Tyler and Dumpy were eventually overturned, but only after intervention from larger creators and significant community pressure. For weeks, those videos remained down, their creators threatened with channel termination. Meanwhile, Brent's own plagiarized content remains monetized and recommended. Why? Because plagiarism is surprisingly difficult to enforce at scale. Unlike copyright strikes, which can be automated through Content ID, proving plagiarism requires human judgment about concepts, ideas, and execution. YouTube has neither the resources nor the incentive to police creative theft comprehensively. The platform faces a fundamental conflict of interest. Brent Rivera generates enormous ad revenue. His 40.7 million subscribers watch hundreds of millions of minutes of content. Each view is an ad impression. Each impression is revenue that YouTube shares. Aggressive enforcement against successful creators directly impacts the platform's bottom line. This doesn't mean YouTube deliberately protects plagiarists. It means the platform's structure, incentives, and limitations create an environment where high-performing creators can operate with relative impunity, regardless of how they achieve that performance. The message this sends to creators is clear: success insulates you from consequences. If you're big enough, you're safe enough. And the fourth reason? The silent majority's implicit endorsement. Here's perhaps the most uncomfortable truth. Most of Brent Rivera's audience, even if they knew about the plagiarism, probably wouldn't care enough to stop watching. We've seen this pattern across digital media. Major influencers survive scandals that should be career-ending because their audience's attachment to the entertainment value outweighs their concern about ethics. The parasocial relationships that drive influencer success create a kind of motivated reasoning. My favorite creator couldn't be that bad, or everyone makes mistakes, or the critics are just jealous. Brent's audience is even more primed for this dynamic. Children and young teenagers are less likely to engage in complex moral reasoning about content creation ethics. They're more likely to view criticism of their favorite creator as hate rather than legitimate accountability. But it's not just children. Consider the broader YouTube audience. Millions of people watch content daily without ever thinking about where it came from. They don't check if thumbnails are original. They don't compare video concepts to previous uploads from other creators. They don't read the comments looking for allegations of theft. They just watch and click and watch again. This passive viewership becomes an implicit endorsement of the system. Every view is a vote that says this content is valuable to me. When millions of people vote this way, regardless of the content's origin, they collectively signal that originality doesn't matter as much as entertainment. Brent Rivera understands this intuitively. His content isn't trying to impress critics or win awards for creativity. It's designed to capture and hold attention from an audience that values fun over authenticity. And in that narrow but lucrative mission, he succeeds spectacularly. Now, let's put this in context, because the Brent Rivera paradox becomes even more intriguing when compared to other creators who faced similar or lesser controversies. The outcomes vary wildly, revealing that survival isn't just about the offense, it's about audience composition, platform dynamics, and strategic response. Let's start with James Charles. In 2021, James faced serious allegations that should have ended his career. His subscriber count dropped by millions. Major brands severed partnerships. Fellow creators publicly distanced themselves. Yet within a year, James had substantially recovered. His videos still generate millions of views. He maintains major sponsorships. He remains relevant in the beauty community. Why did James Charles survive? Several factors. First, direct engagement. Unlike Brent, James directly addressed allegations in lengthy, detailed videos. Second, evidence presentation. He provided screenshots, receipts, and context. Third, core competency. His makeup skills gave him inherent value beyond personality. And fourth, audience loyalty. His established fan base was older and more emotionally invested. The key difference? James treated his audience as adults capable of weighing evidence. Brent treats his audience as consumers who don't need to know about problems. Now consider David Dobrik. David's fall offers a stark contrast. Once YouTube's golden boy with sponsorships from major brands, David's career crumbled in 2021 when serious safety concerns and misconduct allegations emerged from his vlog squad. The response was immediate and devastating. Lost sponsorships from major brands, removed from collaborations, reduced to a fraction of his former viewership, struggled to rebuild credibility. What made David's situation different from Brent's? First, mainstream attention. Major news outlets covered the story. Second, brand risk. Sponsors couldn't be associated with the allegations. Third, adult audience. David's viewers were old enough to care about ethics. And fourth, severity. The allegations involved potential legal issues. David's audience overlaps significantly with the broader YouTube community that discusses and debates creator behavior. Brent's does not. Perhaps the most instructive comparison is Logan Paul. In 2017, Logan posted a video from Japan's suicide forest showing a deceased person. The backlash was nuclear. He was universally condemned. YouTube temporarily suspended advertising on his channel. Yet today, Logan Paul is arguably more successful than ever. He hosts one of the world's biggest podcasts. He's involved in high-profile boxing matches. He launched successful business ventures. Logan's recovery offers a blueprint. First, genuine contrition. Multiple apologies acknowledging the severity. Second, time. He gave the controversy space to fade. Third, pivoting. He shifted to different content formats. And fourth, adding value. He created content that offered something beyond his personality. The critical factor, Logan acknowledged he was wrong and visibly changed his behavior. Brent has done neither. Looking at these cases reveals a troubling pattern. The severity of the offense matters less than the composition of the audience and the creator's strategic response. David Dobrik had an adult audience plus mainstream attention plus brand concerns, which led to career damage. James Charles had an engaged fan base plus direct response plus demonstrated value, which led to recovery. Logan Paul had universal condemnation plus genuine change plus time, which led to a successful pivot. Brent Rivera has a child audience plus no mainstream attention plus algorithmic success, which equals no consequences. Brent has essentially discovered a loophole. If your audience exists outside the accountability ecosystem, and if your content performs well algorithmically, traditional consequences don't apply. The system isn't punishing him because, from the system's perspective, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's generating views, revenue, and engagement. That's all that matters. While Brent Rivera collects his estimated $195,000 to $586,000 monthly, others pay the price for his success. The casualties of this system extend far beyond his direct victims. Let's talk about the small creators first. Kelly Wakasa, whose world's shortest woman versus tallest man concept Brent replicated, likely spent weeks planning that video. She had to coordinate schedules with people with incredibly rare physical characteristics. She had to design a compelling narrative arc. She had to edit the footage into something engaging. Her video performed well. Then Brent's version came out and performed exponentially better, capturing views that might have gone to Kelly or similar creators. She received no compensation, no credit, no apology. This happens repeatedly across the platform. A small creator invests their creativity, time, and resources into developing original content. It performs modestly. Then a larger creator sees it, copies it, and captures 10 times or 100 times the audience due to their existing subscriber base and algorithmic momentum. The small creator can't compete. They can't afford to take legal action. They can't match the production quality. They can't access the same promotional opportunities. Their innovation is essentially taxed by someone with more power, and the system provides no recourse. Tyler, Oliveira, and Dumpy represent another category of victim, those punished for speaking truth. They invested time investigating and documenting Brent's pattern of theft. They published thoughtful, evidence-based criticism. Their reward? Copyright strikes that threaten their channel's existence. The message to other potential whistleblowers is chilling. If you expose a big creator, they can use their resources and platform power to retaliate against you. The very system designed to protect creators becomes a weapon to silence them. Then there are the authentic creators. Every creator who invests in originality faces an implicit choice. Spend significant time developing unique concepts with uncertain returns, or observe what's working and iterate on proven formulas. Brent's success rewards the latter approach. Why spend 3 weeks brainstorming and testing an original concept when you can spend 3 days replicating someone else's proven idea with higher production values? This creates a race to the bottom. Authentic creators see their innovations quickly copied by channels with larger audiences. The copiers get the views and revenue. The originators get experience and bitterness. Over time, this discourages genuine innovation. Why take creative risks when theft is more profitable and algorithmically rewarded? The entire ecosystem suffers when the incentive structure punishes originality. Now, let's talk about the audience. Brent's 40.7 million subscribers are consuming content they believe is original. They're developing expectations about what creators do and how platforms work that are fundamentally based on a lie. This has second-order effects. These viewers grow up thinking it's normal for creators to have similar content. That originality isn't particularly valuable. That success comes from execution rather than innovation. That calling out plagiarism is hate rather than accountability. They're being trained to accept and even prefer derivative content. They're not learning to value the creative work that goes into genuine innovation. Their standards for what constitutes quality entertainment are being calibrated around plagiarized content. When these viewers become the next generation of creators, what will they prioritize? If they've learned that success comes from copying what works rather than creating what's new, the entire ecosystem degrades further. And then there's YouTube itself. The platform's brand depends on being seen as a place where creativity flourishes. YouTube promotes itself as democratizing media, giving anyone with talent and dedication a chance to succeed. Cases like Brent Rivera undermine this narrative. They reveal that the platform's systems can be gamed, that power protects power, and that the democratization is limited to those willing to play by certain rules, even if those rules involve unethical behavior. This erodes trust with the creator community. Why invest in YouTube when the platform won't protect your creative work? Why follow the rules when breaking them seems more profitable? It also affects how outsiders view the platform. When mainstream media covers YouTube, stories about plagiarism and copyright abuse reinforce negative perceptions of online content as derivative, unregulated, and ethically questionable. Perhaps most troublingly, the Brent Rivera paradox contributes to broader cultural narratives about success, merit, and consequences. When young people see someone achieve massive success through unethical means without facing consequences, it teaches them that results matter more than methods. It suggests that if you're successful enough, you're insulated from accountability. It implies that the people criticizing unethical behavior are just jealous or naive. These are dangerous lessons that extend far beyond YouTube. They shape how the next generation thinks about business ethics, intellectual property, and personal responsibility. Brent Rivera didn't create these problems, but his continued success, despite documented, repeated, systematic violations of creative ethics, is a symptom of a system that rewards the wrong things for the wrong reasons. The Brent Rivera paradox isn't just about one creator. It's a mirror, reflecting the uncomfortable truths about the system we've all built, supported, and participated in. And there are some questions we need to ask ourselves. First question: what is success, really? Brent Rivera has 40.7 million subscribers and earns hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly. By conventional metrics, he's extraordinarily successful. But is he respected by his peers? No. Has he contributed original ideas to the platform? No. Will his legacy be one of innovation and creativity? Almost certainly not. We've confused popularity with accomplishment, wealth with worth, attention with admiration. The Brent Rivera case forces us to confront whether we actually value the things we claim to value, or whether we're just rationalizing our consumption of whatever the algorithm feeds us. If success is purely measured in subscribers and revenue, metrics that can be achieved through theft and exploitation, then we've created a system with no soul. We've reduced the entire creative endeavor to numbers that can be gamed by anyone willing to abandon ethics. Second question: what responsibility do platforms have? YouTube built a system that algorithmically rewards engagement without regard for how that engagement is achieved. The platform profits from every Brent Rivera video, taking a percentage of ad revenue while providing inadequate tools for creators to protect their work. Should YouTube be held responsible for the behavior its incentive structure encourages? Should the platform be required to more actively police plagiarism? Should there be consequences for creators who abuse the copyright system to silence criticism? These aren't just philosophical questions. They have real-world implications for millions of creators and billions of viewers. Yet YouTube has largely avoided substantive accountability for the ecosystem its algorithms have created. The platform hides behind arguments about scale and neutrality. We can't manually review everything, and we're just providing tools. But the choices YouTube makes about what to optimize for, what behaviors to reward, and what violations to enforce have enormous consequences. Claiming neutrality while profiting from the results is moral cowardice. Third question: what responsibility do audiences have? Every view is a vote, every subscription is an endorsement, every minute of watch time is tacit approval of a creator's approach. Brent Rivera's audience largely consists of children who may not understand the implications of plagiarism. But what about the adults who know better and watch anyway? What about the viewers who see the controversy and decide they don't care? We like to think of ourselves as passive consumers of content, but our consumption patterns have power. When we continue watching creators we know behave unethically, we're sending a clear signal: This behavior is acceptable as long as the entertainment value is high enough. The uncomfortable truth is that cancel culture often fails, not because platforms protect bad actors, but because most audiences simply don't care enough to change their behavior. We're complicit in the system we claim to oppose. Fourth question, what responsibility do other creators have? When Penguin Zero spoke out against Brent Rivera, he used his platform and influence to amplify criticism. But most large creators stay silent about plagiarism unless it directly affects them or becomes too large to ignore. Why? Partly because creator communities are surprisingly tight-knit and calling out peers feels uncomfortable. Partly because there's an unspoken understanding that if the platform came down hard on plagiarism, many creators would be vulnerable to scrutiny. But silence is complicity. When creators with large platforms witness systematic theft and say nothing, they're implicitly endorsing a system where only the biggest and loudest voices matter. They're abandoning the smaller creators who can't fight back alone. The creator community needs a more robust culture of accountability. This doesn't mean witch hunts or automatic cancellation. It means being willing to say publicly, this behavior is unacceptable, and I won't collaborate with or promote creators who engage in it. And the fifth question, can the system reform itself? Perhaps the most important question is whether the problems exposed by the Brent Rivera case can be fixed within the current structure, or whether they're inherent to how social media platforms operate. The fundamental issue is that platforms optimize for engagement, and engagement is morally neutral. Stolen content can be just as engaging, often more so than original content. As long as the primary metric is watch time, the system will reward effective thieves over struggling innovators. Real reform would require better plagiarism detection. Technology exists to identify similar video concepts, structures, and execution. It would require stronger creator protections, making it easier to file plagiarism claims and harder to abuse copyright strikes. It would need algorithmic adjustments, reducing recommendations for channels with patterns of copying, transparency requirements, forcing creators to disclose when content is inspired by other creators, and community input, giving viewers tools to report suspected plagiarism. But each of these solutions has costs. Computational, financial, and in terms of platform control, YouTube would need to prioritize creator welfare over raw engagement, potentially sacrificing growth and revenue. Given that YouTube is ultimately a profit-driven company, what incentive does it have to make these changes? The current system is working exactly as designed for YouTube. The fact that it's failing creators and audiences isn't a bug from the platform's perspective, it's just not their primary concern. So here's the truth we need to face. Brent Rivera didn't break YouTube. He just figured out how YouTube actually works beneath its stated values and official policies. The system, composed of algorithms, incentives, platform policies, audience behaviors, and creator dynamics, functions exactly as it's designed to function. It rewards watch time, engagement, and retention. It punishes nothing that doesn't threaten advertiser, relationships, or legal liability. It distributes opportunity based on what works, not what's right. Brent's continued success isn't a failure of the system, it's the system working exactly as intended. This is the most uncomfortable truth of all. We get the content ecosystem we collectively create through our choices. Platforms build what maximizes engagement. Creators produce what algorithms reward. Audiences watch what appeals to them. Everyone is responding rationally to their incentives. The Brent Rivera paradox reveals that our stated values, originality, creativity, ethics, authenticity aren't actually embedded in the system we've built. They're aspirational marketing language layered over an amoral engagement optimization machine. Until we, viewers, creators, and platforms decide that success should be measured by more than numbers, we'll continue producing exactly this outcome. A thriving ecosystem for the unethical, insulated by algorithms and indifferent audiences. Brent Rivera earns $500,000 monthly not despite his plagiarism and copyright abuse, but because the system we've all built together doesn't actually care about those things. The views count, the revenue flows, the recommendations continue. And that's not Brent Rivera's failure, that's ours. The question isn't whether one creator should be held accountable. The question is whether we're willing to redesign the system that made his behavior not just possible, but optimal. Until then, there will be another Brent Rivera, and another, because the paradox isn't a paradox at all. It's precisely how the system is supposed to work,